Our next speaker today is Katelyn. Throughout the quarter, we've heard Katelyn speak on the topics from effects to video game violence to her loving grandpa. We have also learned that she has a dingo for a pet and the biggest fan of the Walking Dead TV show. Katelyn first became interested in meningitis when she became diagnosed with it when she was 7 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Katelyn.
Okay. One summer night in 2003, my family and I were camping. I kept complaining about my neck hurting, so my mom gave me some Tylenol and we went to sleep. They started to take my complaining seriously when I started throwing up continuously in the middle of the night. We made a trip to the ER at 2 a.m. and I was immediately quarantined. I stayed in quarantine for a few days while the doctors ran blood tests, and my parents were only allowed into the room if they wore full gowns, hairnets, and face masks. After the scariest few days of my life, I was finally diagnosed with what the doctors had suspected all along: meningitis. This is a true story about my life when I was 7 years old. Although a rare event to hear about in 2002, meningitis is now sweeping the nation, mostly in high schools and colleges. I believe that you as a class need to be informed on this disease for your personal health. First, we will be going over the technical definition of meningitis. Second, we will be going over the symptoms, and third, we will be talking about the different types of meningitis. As found on medicalnewstoday.com, last updated April 11, 2013, the technical definition of meningitis is the inflammation of the meninges. The meninges are the three membranes that envelop your brain and spinal cord. The meninges' main function is to protect the central nervous system. Now, this is the normal brain when you don't have meningitis. These three are all the meninges, and when it is inflamed, these are the inflamed meninges, and it gives the brain a lot less room to move around and have a safe moving, so it's very dangerous for your brain and your central nervous system. When the meninges are inflamed, a very particular set of symptoms accompany it. As stated on WebMD.com, copyright 2013, the symptoms of meningitis are of the following: having a stiff and painful neck, a high fever, having a headache, vomiting uncontrollably, having trouble staying awake, and recurring seizures. As it is important to know these symptoms, it is also very crucial to know the different types of meningitis, as it could be the difference between life and death. According to meningitislearning.org, copyright 2008, there are two main types of meningitis: bacterial and viral. Bacterial meningitis has 5 branches. The first branch is called meningococcal. It is the poisoning of the blood. 7% of the people who get it die, and 15% are left with serious disabilities. The second type is pneumococcal. It is the most life-threatening and needs urgent medical attention. Around 20% of the people die, and 25% are left with serious disabilities. The aforementioned went on to state that the third type of meningitis is contracted through tuberculosis. A rare percent of the people who get tuberculosis also contract meningitis. It develops a lot slower than the regular meningitis, and it is a lot harder to recognize and treat. The fourth branch of bacterial meningitis is called HIV. HIV is caused by bacteria influenza type B. It is very big in the UK today. The final type is called neonatal meningitis. This meningitis only affects newborn babies. It is rare, but the death rate is at 20%. As found on Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's website, last updated March 15, 2012, the second strand of meningitis is viral. MayoClinic.com, copyright 2013, states that viral meningitis is the most common form of meningitis in the U.S. It's much less serious than bacterial meningitis, and it ranges from one thinking that they have the flu to the same exact symptoms of bacterial meningitis. In conclusion, we went over the technical definition of meningitis, the symptoms, and the types of this disease. Having meningitis was a very scary and uncertain point of my life. I was very fortunate to only have the viral strand, or I might not be here to tell you this story today. Now that you all know the basics of meningitis, you can watch out for yourselves and for your loved ones, as it is a very dangerous disease sweeping America today.